Alright, good evening everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher and I run Thraben University. Tonight we're going to be streaming with some Mono White Death and Taxes. So, as is probably not surprising, leading up to GP Richmond, I'm going to be trying out a lot of ideas, and some of that testing is going to occur on stream, some of it is going to occur off stream, and you never know quite what you're going to get. So today I'm going to run kind of a weird deck list that I think might be good through a league, and we'll kind of see where it's at. But first I want to talk about Thursday real quick. So I recently hit my follower goals for, oh geez, I think it was 1,300. I think I hit that last stream. So I figured it was time to play some 4-color loam. And in doing some research for deck lists today, I saw that the Orcish Lumberjack 4-color loam deck had been published, and I've got to play it. It looks so fun. So for anyone not familiar with that deck, because there are only a couple of people playing it right now online, it uses Orcish Lumberjack, which is more or less Legacy Black Lotus, to power out a natural order. And it just seems really, really disgusting. I intended on playing a more normal 4-color loam list, and then I saw that, and I just had to play it. Actually, I should just pull it up for a second and show you, because it's super cool. I think it was Ozymandias's deck list, the one that I saw. 4-color control, I want loam. Yeah, so I think it was either Ozymandias or Solnox. No, it's Solnox. Get over here. Yeah. So check this out. This deck is sweet. So it uses Orcish Lumberjack to go and sacrifice one of your lands to Black Lotus, and you use that to just power out a super early natural order for something stupid like Dragon Lord Atarka. And the Orcish Lumberjack also combos with Titania. So you use the Lumberjack to sacrifice your land, get 3 mana, and also a 5/3 elemental token. So it's super cute. Pretty excited to go and try this out. This deck has some sweet synergy. What EDH tomfoolery is this? The best kind, obviously. So this deck also has some random sweet things in it. In addition to the Loam and Punishing Fire engines that you expect, there's also the Dark Depths and Stage combo, as well as a Shijiri Step to go and fetch up. It's pretty cool. But more on that on Thursday. I'm pretty excited to try that out. I will probably make regular 4-color loam my 1,400 follower goal stream. But this is too cool. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to give you all a chance to look at tonight's deck list, and then I'm going to go over it. I'm trying out some weird stuff tonight. Okay. So, oh, King, I'm glad you went 2-1 in your first tournament. Well, one of your first tournaments with D&T. Congratulations, and keep it up. So let's look at this deck list. With all of the Death Shadow that's running around right now, and I mean there's a lot of it. I played against it 3 times in my last league. I wanted to make some changes to hedge against that. So I'm up to 2 Mirran Crusaders in the main deck, and I've also put the Palace Jailer back in the main deck. I'm not really as high on this card as many people are, but if people are just going and playing a bunch of giant stupid black creatures, then Palace Jailer is very punishing against those decks. Since Brightling is bad against the black decks that are running around the format right now, I've moved down to 1 of them. I still love the card, and I really want to have access to a copy of it for the ridiculously long games against Red Prison and Miracles. But it might not be correct to be playing multiple Brightlings right now in the exact current format of this week. That may change, though. Since I added the Palace Jailer in, I went up to the 24th land. I'm going to try to drop a Caracas and see how I feel about that, Black-Red Reanimator isn't putting up the numbers that I expected it to be putting up, so I'm okay with making a slight main deck concession to it, and to compensate, I made a sideboard concession to that. So, most of the sideboard's pretty stock. Since I lost a couple points to the Black-Red Reanimator matchup by dropping a Caracas, I swapped one Surgical for a Fairy to compensate. And I'm trying out a couple of new sideboard cards. One, I think I want some faster interaction against some of the decks that are going out on right now. So that's why there's like some Chalices and Pithing Needles here. So it's like the Chalice is something that I can play against Storm on turn 1. And like I can play a Chalice on 0 followed by like one of the normal Hate Bears, and I think that's pretty good. And it's also just like a really good lights out card on 2 against a lot of decks. The reason I'm playing this is because I've been pretty happy with like Spirit of the Labyrinth as a Hate Bear, but given D&T's increased popularity, I'm starting to see more like Dread of Knights and Sulfur Elementals and such. So I figured it probably wouldn't be a good idea to like try to diversify my hate a little bit and make it harder for people to just like destroy everything I'm doing with a single card. So that's the rationale for Chalice. The Ballista is for the Mirror and Baleful Strix decks, primarily. The Ballista is something that I conceptually like. However, in like the 2 or 3 leagues that I've played with it, it has not done anything impressive. That doesn't mean that I want to remove it yet, but it has not necessarily like carried the weight that I expected it to be carrying. I don't know whether like Chalice is actually better than something like Canonist or Spirit of the Labyrinth since it's not attached to a body. This is just, like I said, this is experimental. I don't know that this is actually good. There's more that can be said about this deck list, but most of the other choices just kind of make sense and are pretty stock. And so I'm just going to jump into some games. That's very loud. That's right. So I started this league already, and I'm 2-0 in matches, 4-0 in games. The getting has been good for D&T. Let's see. My current record is 86-37, so that's right at about 70%, maybe a little closer to 71. Been super happy with how the deck has felt. And Step Top, I just saw your comment. Remind me between rounds, and I'll kind of show you what I was thinking about. My opponent has mulligan, so I'm going to keep this hand. This hand isn't like overly impressive. It's very, very fair. But this is not like bad enough to go back. It's not a bad hand. It's just exceptionally fair. I bet my opponent plays Delver. I say this because everyone and their mom plays Delver right now. Like, Death Shadow is just, like, everywhere. Alright, maybe Rogue Delver. Oh, I can see in my chat bot it says that they were playing Rogue Delver 8 days ago. Okay. Oh man, their Brainstorm locked. Geddon is good. Alright, so that's a good days from my opponent. So that means they get to make their land drop this turn even though they're Brainstorm locked. So that's kind of like good value for them. I'm going to take a high upside play here and get aggressive. This eats it to a daze a little bit, but otherwise it'll be an insane play. I'm going to go ahead and Flicker Wisp one of my lands out. It comes back, and now I'll Swords to Delver. Yes, I will be at Richmond. Okay. The greediest play is to play Jitte this turn and attack in, but it's super punished by Bolt, so I'm not going to do that. Just going to go ahead and Flicker Wisp on in here. I'm actually, like, super glad my opponent did that, because now I get, like, an awesome turn. I get to go and Wasteland their Volcanic Island. Now they can't daze me, and I get to, like, resolve one of these threats of my choice. I think I'm just going to draw Crusader, because if I get a land and I get to go, like, land Jitte equip next turn, the game is just over. Everyone's the same in the end. They all lose to choke. I'm just going to get a Wisp, and I can ride, like, the Wisp Recruiter train to victory here. The other thing I can do is just, like, get a Thalia and lock my opponent out of the game, but doing so would mean that I lose the opportunity to just go, like, Jitte equip in one turn, which I really care about. Alright. Playing against Rug Delver, I win. So game 1, Wasteland wins game. Okay. So I'm going to do a little experiment, and I'm going to sideboard, and then I'm going to double check and see if I sideboarded the same way that I wrote my sideboarding notes for myself when I put together this deck list, because I'm kind of just, like, curious about that. So I probably want to do something approximating this. All right, let's see what I said for myself. Oh, I should also, like, do my in-outs. So I'd probably want to get rid of my Revoker. That's not particularly good. I don't like the Prelate for post-sideboard games. The Recruiters are slow against Rug. One, two, three, four, five. All right. So this is 6, though. So what did I do in my notes before? So my notes before, I said, bring 5 cards in, put 6 cards. Okay. So I probably want to make one more cut. Or not play the second CJ. Probably, like, just trim 1 card. Yeah, Arkin, it's they haven't processed anything yet. I haven't got a response on that front yet. Disgruntled Elk, I don't think we're ever going to test Grand Abolisher for the mirror. I don't think that's actually that good. Didn't I board out the Jailer? Probably should have boarded out the Jailer. The first hand's kind of questionable. The second hand's very actively good. Like, I don't have any threat yet, but that's probably fine. Yeah, JPA. We're doing Thalia's work today. Lots of white idiots. And some chalice, too. Because why not? I'm fine with throwing my cards into days here. I don't want to, like, play scared around that card currently. So that's a really good days for my opponent. I like that. They opted not to protect their Tarmogoyf, so instead they got my Stoneforge Mystic, and I think that's just, like, much better value for them. Um, Zach Cox's recent podcast had, I'm blanking on his name, but had someone who specifically talked about days for like an hour, and it was super awesome. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. And it just kind of talked about how, like, sometimes the best days is the days that you don't use early, so your opponent doesn't actually know that you have one, and you're just kind of like hiding that information. Hey, Minifer, welcome. Yeah, Zach does Legacy Allure. He took a break for a little while as he was doing other things. Um, but his last episode was, oh, I don't know, a week or two ago at this point now. It's somewhat recent. Like, I listened to it during my teacher work week, so I guess it was like a week and a half ago now. Spell Snare. You got me. Now please tap out for your true name nemesis so I can Council's Judgment it. Nope. Slow game it is. Oh, Julian, that is a good one. Yeah, that's great. Am I gonna get, like, Sulfur Elementaled? Snapcaster Mage. That's interesting. So I don't want to give my opponent a shuffle off this path to exile, so I'm not going to path this Snapcaster yet. I'd really prefer for them to, like, use a fetch to shuffle, and then I'd be more comfortable doing it. Like, my life total is still very healthy, and I have 3 pieces of removal, so I'm not really afraid of that. Yeah, and I don't even think I'm going to, like, fire it off on the Tarmogoyf here. I think I'm just going to, like, Council's Judgment away the Tarmogoyf. Snap, path the snap in response to the brainstorm. Is that defensible? Yeah, I think that's defensible. That's fine. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just kind of like play it nice and slow and safe, and take another hit from the Snapcaster Mage before pathing it. Like, the Snapcaster Mage will just get, like, beaten out in combat by most of my creatures. So if I can avoid removing this, I think I'm fine with that. Drawing hotter than the sun. I'm still inclined to not remove the Snapcaster Mage. Like, I can keep my opponent off of green threats. I can take another hit this turn, and then if I don't draw anything relevant, I can path the Snapcaster Mage and still double port them off of green. So I'm going to go ahead and do this right now in order to play around the soft permission, like to the best of my ability, and then I'll double port them. JPA, it's a, like, Snapcaster Mage is definitely weird, yeah. But I don't know, like, how weird it is. I don't know if that's just, like, a one-of sideboard Snapcaster for value, or if there's more oddities to it that I haven't seen yet. Like, while Snapcaster Mage isn't something that, like, I'm going to play around, so it's, like, kind of surprising and cool, I think it's bad to have a card like that that relies on your graveyard when you're already so graveyard reliant in the first place. Alright, the goose is loose. Finally, I drew a creature, so that's good. So now that my opponent has the third green source, I can't actually keep them off of green. So it's probably better to port them off of red to stop something like an Abrade on my Batterskull or something of that nature. Alright, so I forced the... Like, I forced the bolt there because otherwise, like, they couldn't do it. And I kind of suspected my opponent might have one since they hesitated for so long on my turn. So I'm going to go ahead and play Mirror Crusader this turn rather than play my Batterskull, because if my opponent has, like, an Abrade and they just, like, time walk me by getting rid of my Batterskull, that's so bad for me currently. And if I get to one more mana, I can just, like, play Batterskull and have the ability to go and bounce it afterwards if I choose to not port them. Alright, so they have a Bolt for my Crusader. Alright, I am in the danger zone now. Luckily, most of my draws are pretty good here. Oh, do they just have double burn spell? So I'm going to get wrecked by most things here, but I can't really play around anything. I'll just, like, die if I don't do this. So, like, I'll die to an Abrade. I'll die to a Lightning Bolt. I'll die to a Dismember. Alright, there's the Dismember. JPA, I thought about it, but if the game goes more than, like, 1 or 2 more turns, then, like, having the path around his utility is pretty good. Alright, so, like, really, game 2, I just flood. Like, that's what happened. Like, I drew almost entirely removal rather than threats, so I couldn't put any pressure on my opponent, despite the fact that, like, I really had the game under lockdown. So now, on the play, I'll get rid of Jailer and bring in the other Thalia. This hand is stellar. So, Gabo Hunter, mathematically speaking, like, D&T really wants to run, like, 23 and a half lands in order to, like, hit its mana, like, curve out properly. And so, like, running 23 or 24 is fine. Like, Alan Wu, the guy who won the Pro Tour with D&T, suggested that, like, he thinks it might even be correct to run more lands than that and just play some lands like Horizon Canopy and Mishra's Factory in order to hedge. Okay, so I have a lot of different options this turn. Operating under the assumption that it'll get removed sometime soon or countered, I'm just going to play Thalia. And I didn't want to lead with the Rest in Peace as, like, my very first card, because it's one that I really, really, really want to resolve, but it's also one that doesn't put any pressure on the board. So I'm going to hope to play Rest in Peace on a turn where I can play it both around Daze and Spell Snare. Opponent shuffled with Ponder. I could play the Rest in Peace here, but I think I'm going to resolve a threat. Alright. Super glad I did not go for the Rest in Peace there, then. Alright, opponent's running kind of low on resources. Like, they have 4 cards, now 3 cards plus 2 lands. If they just, like, tap out to play a Tarmogoyf here, and I rest in peace that, like, I get to pull really far ahead. And I think I want to go ahead and port them off of Valk, so that if I play Crusader on my turn, I'm not just, like, playing it into a Bolt. It'll make them use their mana for it on the following turn. I'm going to save the Crusader for a little bit. Actually, I don't think I want to Flicker Wisp my own land in the face of a Stifle. I don't want to lose just a land randomly in this situation. And at this point, it's kind of a wash which land I tap, because if I tap this and they have Lightning Bolt already, then my Wisp is just going to keep it here, and my port actually doesn't accomplish anything. All right, so they just play Ambush Viper. That's fine. I'm not going to, like, Swords to Plowshares anything on my turn. It's just, like, a poor use of my mana and opens me up to Wasteland way too much. So I'm going to take them off of removal and then port them off of green. And I'm fine with removing a Snapcaster Mage at this point. Yeah, Disgruntled Elk, you can definitely tag the back half of the Flicker Wisp triggered ability. So the way Flicker Wisp is worded is that it's 2 triggers. It creates the first trigger that, like, everyone's used to, and then it creates what I believe they call a delayed trigger, which is the second half, and it's still a trigger, so it still, like, uses the stack. So I'm just going to hold this card in hand. Like, playing it out doesn't really give me any value right now. And I'd rather bluff, like, having some gas left around. Yeah, it's a race. Who's going to win? The Mongoose for 1 damage a turn? Or one weird Mothy boy? Blitzlion, I would say check out K Ponce's channel. I host him sometimes. He's been playing a lot with Amber Taxes. I would check out him for, like, actual advice on that deck. K Ponce, Kponce. Yeah, the goose is as far from loose as he's gonna get. Holy crap, the flood this game is absolutely real. Yes, Julian, playing with Mox Amber. the Mox that only works if you control like a legendary permanent. Or I forget exactly how it's worded. I think it's like you have to control a legendary creature or planeswalker in order to turn it on. I love my weird Mothy boy. He's going all the way. You know what, if my opponent fetches here to stifle me, I literally don't care, because I'll still port them anyway. I'd rather not give them 2 mana at the same time. I don't really know what that could do, but it could let them, like, abrade. And if they do, like, fetch, stifle, they go down to 3 life, and then they just die. So if my opponent fetches right here, they will die to Wisp if they don't answer it. And opponent just, like, died, despite the fact that I hardly did anything that match. Alright. Game 2, I flood. But opponent can't beat Rip. I indeed did the thing. Goblin Lackey, I'm guessing their hand had to be full of things like True Name Nemesis, Sulfur Elemental, Tarmogoyfs. It had to be things that they just like could not cast for 1 mana at instant speed. I understand 50 moth hype. Yeah, I understand wanting to avoid people and just, like, hide in my room and play or watch Magic. I get that. Like, everyone needs to do that sometimes. Like, one of my favorite things to do to just, like, relax on an evening where, like, I'm not really doing anything is just to, like, get some, like, random deck from Card Hoarder, because, like, they're gracious enough to give me a loan account, and just, like, kind of mess around with it. So, like, a lot of times I'll just, like, get home and I'll be in a silly mood and it's like, all right, let's go get Eldrazi. Let's tentacle some people out, and like, it's a lot of fun. Hey, sort of quip. I'm not gonna judge you for, like, watching Magic at work. Like, I'm a teacher, and very frequently, like, over my lunch breaks and stuff, I will, like, watch some random, like, streams or legacy videos to kind of get me through the day. Yeah, Bentley. A lot of times, like, when I play Sneak and Show, it's just like, all right, I'm in a bad mood. Let's ape some people. Let's go. Sorry, I got to a wrong screen. I need to get myself back. Okay. So I have kind of a reasonable generic hand. I'm on the draw. Oh, no, I'm on the play. My bad. JPA, I would play 12 post at some point. Like, the Eldrazi one, though. I wasn't really a fan of the other 12 post deck that I played a while back for a donation deck list. Uh-oh. Looks like we're playing against either Show and Tell or Ant. Feels like Show and Tell. Alright. It's Show and Tell. So now I have to play the game. Do they have Grizzlebrand or do they have Omniscience? If they have Omniscience, I want to put in Thalia. If they're just, like, flooping a Grizzlebrand into play and hoping to draw a bunch of cards and, like, hope that's good enough, then it's way better to put in Revoker. If they also have just, like, putting in Sneak Attack, then putting in Revoker is better. And I get to, like, see what they do before I make my choice. So Thalia beats just, like, I'm going to flop Omniscience into play and try to cantrip a bunch, but Revoker will give me a better chance at beating Grizzlebrand or Sneak Attack. Revoker's better against 2 of the cards that they can put in, but Thalia's better against, like, Omniscience plus random cantrips, so it's pretty close. It's really a coin flip. I think I'm going to put in Thalia, because if they put in... Like, it would let me resolve a Revoker on my turn because they couldn't force me. So I'm going to do that. If they have Emrakul, it's just kind of moot. Holy shit, they didn't have it. By it, I mean the Emrakul. So now I know that they don't immediately have Grizzlebrand, or they just would have cast that. And they don't have Emrakul. They could have Sneak. So I should probably name Sneak with this one and Grizzlebrand with the following Revoker, but it's pretty close. If I name Sneak, I can't get just, like, absolutely wrecked. But maybe I should just, like, name Grizzlebrand, because, like, in order for the Sneak Attack thing to, like, line up, they need multiple cards. Whereas, like, just stopping the Grizzlebrand is probably just better against, like, random cantrip into Grizzlebrand. Like, naming the Sneak could, like, stop me from getting, like, annihilated sooner, but naming Grizzlebrand itself is going to just, like, beat them hard casting it, which is what I'm probably more afraid of. Ooh, no more land. So all my stuff's still uncounterable. Alright, so I have my opponent on a 2-turn clock no matter what. I can't speed that up with any sequence of plays, right? What if I play Stoneforge and get Fire and Ice and rip a land? That'd be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so since I can't 2-turn clock, I should just shut off more options. So this will name Sneak. No, I don't need to name Lotus Petal because of Thalia. Like, the Lotus Petal is, like, a net bad play right now. Alright, so opponent drew a Grizzlebrand. This is not the end of the world, actually. I can potentially power through this. So I can just double protect right now, bash in for 4. That puts my opponent to 8. If they draw 7, Hmm. Alright. I can't draw 7, because, Revoker's good. Before someone in chat yells at me for that. Actually, did I miss damage here? I could have attacked with 4 things. Opponent would have blocked 1. I could have protected that. Yeah, okay, so I missed 1 point of damage here. That's bad on me. Yeah, I know, Chad. I caught myself like 1 second too late. So I think I probably want to get Sword of Fire and Ice to just like draw another card and increase the chances that I can get like a Caracas or a Palace Jailer or a Flicker Wisp to kind of close things out. But there's some argument to just like get a Batterskull, because like in a turn or two putting a Batterskull onto a Thalia can be kind of disgusting. But I think I'm on a more immediate game plan than that. Like, my opponent has Omniscience. They have a bunch of cantrips in their deck. I am a little bit afraid of like what can happen like that. That's undoubtedly bad for me. Fuck Kozilek's return. We dead. We so dead. Yeah, now opponent can just like draw 14, find Emrakul, and get me. All right, what's going on here? Like this is just Emrakul dead me. I think you draw 14, get like incredibly deeper, and then ponder, because this ponder doesn't really do a ton, right? Like you could have like just gone through all of those cards and then pondered. All right, so it's Cunning Wish for Intuition for Emrakul. I'm gonna make him like show me multiple copies of Emrakul, but that's what's happening, and then I'm dead. Alright, so playing against Sneak and Show. Or potentially just, like, straight Omni. Like, I don't know for sure that he has the Sneak stuff. He's definitely, like, probably heavier on the Omni package, since he has the Cunning Wishes. But there are some, like, hybrid builds that have both, like, Omni's Cunning Wish and a couple of Sneak attacks. So that's something to be aware of. Alright, so game one, I should say game one eventual loss to turn one Omni into K return. So Disgruntled Elk at the same time, like the Valk could just be for sideboarded cards like K return, but I'm going to board as if my opponent does have the sneak attack stuff. So we have Chalice, Council's Judgment, Cat, Needle, and since my opponent has Intuition, I will play Surgical. So I'll take my Swords to Plowshares out, my Jitte out, my Stoneforge out, and that leaves me with one extra. What do I want to do with that? I can just trim a Mom. No, like, since I'm playing around with Chalice, I actually should probably, like, cut one more Mom and keep the Stoneforge. Like, Mom can be good for, like, stopping Grizzlebrand if you get a Flicker Wisp as well. But that's a little bit of a pipe dream scenario. That doesn't happen a lot. So this is probably fine. I also don't really want to keep Swords for Arcane Artisan because, like, it's such a dead card against the rest of the deck, and it's very bad with my Chalices that I'm playing. This is not an exciting opener. This is fine. Like, I have lands, I have spells, I have ways to deal with things, but I'd be much more excited with, like, a Thalia in my opening hand, or a Chalice, or a Vial. So I think I'm going to ship this one, even though this is reasonable. This is a way better hand. And I think I'm even willing to top that second Thalia, in case the first one gets countered, or Pyroclasmed or whatever. I'd really like to have a second round. This also just, like, lets me hardcast one this turn without fear, and still have a backup one on later turns. Ansept top, we did not. They Cunning Wished for Kozilek's return and got, like, a 6-for-1. It was pretty decent. I think I want the threat here, since I don't have a ton to do with my mana. Like, just getting Batterskull as a separate body is kind of nice. But if I don't have anything to do with my mana, it's probably better to just get Sword, so that I can go and protect Thalia from K-Return or Pyroclasm. Neat. Discard sneak attack, replenish it back into play. That is a line my opponent could be taking. Sure, we'll go with that. I'm going to go ahead and put this into play right now because I don't think anything punishes me. And if for some reason my opponent was playing something odd like a Vendilion click, I might get punished for, like, not playing that now. Alright, so I already put in a land. Alright. Is there any world where I need to surgical sneak attack? I think the answer is no. Because my opponent goes, like, Volcanic Island, cast sneak attack, that actually does nothing. And they actually just, like, can't tap that Ancient Tomb or they die. I'm tempted, on my turn I was tempted to surgical to sneak attack just to, like, see what their hate was. But I think if I cast that surgical, they'll concede in response, so they gain the information that I'm playing surgical, but I don't gain any information about their deck. So I don't think that's actually good. Alright. So win. So game 2, win with Bile and Thalia. Sure, basic planes, like, they probably have 1k return in the board as a wish target, but it's very possible that they have, like, some pyroclasms that they actually bring into the deck as well. And that's the information that I would get. So GG Monster Man. My opponent had Ancient Tomb and was at 2 life, so they couldn't actually cast any of that stuff, though. But otherwise, yes, that would work. Basic Planes, to be fair, in game 1, like, we still had to deal with the Grizzlebrand. Like, even though it couldn't draw cards, like, just the 7/7 lifelinker was dangerous. Configurate. Unfortunately, Prelate only stops non-creatures, so it can't stop the Emrakul. My god, if it could stop the Emrakul. Drool. Oh man, that was an absolutely stellar draw. If my opponent casts the Show and Tell, we get to play a really weird game of, like, which one of these 3 cards do I get to put in play? It's going to be super fun. Island Delver Go, take a look at the sideboard. The sideboard's what's weird, not the main deck. Okay. If my opponent puts in a creature, I want to put in Palace Jailer. If my opponent puts in Omniscience, I want to put in either Flicker Wisp or Prelate. If my opponent puts in Sneak Attack, it doesn't particularly matter what I put in. Thalia will stop them from casting any other non-creature spell. The most difficult thing for me to play around would be... Like, the thing that would beat me is Omniscience into Hardcast, Emrakul, or Grizzlebrand. But if they just have to flop the creature into play, then Jailer's great. If they play Omniscience into a creature, and the creature is Emrakul, I'll lose. If the creature is Grizzlebrand, they can draw a bunch of cards, and I'll be woefully behind, but I can attempt to draw a land in the next 2 turns to be able to Jailer it out. So we're not going to beat Omni. We're not going to beat Omni for creature. I can beat Omni for spell. So I guess I should Jailer, because that will beat a creature. If I had one more land in play, I'd just, like, throw the Flicker Wisp into play, and it's not close. Alright, I'm going to put Jailer into play. Fuck yeah! Alright, so to finish my thought, I put Jailer into play because if they go Omni into Grizzlebrand, I can Flicker Wisp the Jailer in order to, like, go and get rid of the Grizzlebrand. Alright. So now I can slam Prelate on 3 to shut off K-Return, Wish, and another Show and Tell. That's probably pretty good. It'll also just, like, put my opponent on a 2-turn clock. I am the pretty princess, and it feels pretty great. So in combat damage, I'm going to get rid of the Volk, force them to use their mana now if they want to. They don't. God, that's a ponder that feels bad. Costs 2 mana and 2 life when you're facing down lethal. Oh man, I want a Burger King crown. I haven't submitted my deck list. Maybe I should submit a Palace Jailer deck list. Alright. Alright. Excuse me. Alright. Game 3 win with Jailer for Emrakul. Alright. We've been winning the guessing game so far. Oh man, I saw that video, Basic Planes. Reed Duke's Ponder was the saddest ponder. So there was a Chalice on 1 in a Chronosphere in play, and Reed Duke, like, casts a Ponder, you know, paying 3 mana, and then the opponent just, like, points to the Chalice. Woo! Ticked up to 71% match win percentage with that. 88 and 36. Feels good. Yeah, I can give you that data. I haven't played against it a bunch. I think I'm 50-50. Yes, I'm 4-4 versus Miracles post Brightling. Not every one of those like has been matchups with multiple Brightlings in my deck. That's like everything post banning. I don't remember what they were playing. I'm borderline on Jailer. Like, it's a high-risk, high-reward card, and I haven't seen as much Miracles and Grixis control as I've been expecting. I've just been, like, playing against so many creature decks, especially, like, Blue-Black Shadow, and Jailer's pretty good there. I think I started the league yesterday, so it's whatever MZ Frost was playing most recently. Steve, the D&T versus Maverick matchup is super complicated. It's very skill intensive. The games go super long. Min, D&T does sound right. This hand doesn't do anything, so we're in a mulligan. This hand's also bad, but probably better than 5. Alright, so I'm going to do something that's kind of weird here. I'm going to assume that my opponent is on Blue-Black Shadow because it's the most popular deck right now, and I'm going to put this on top. That may sound a little weird, but I don't think it's unreasonable. It's Eldrazi. These moms suck. This hand is garbage. I will play a speed bump. Yeah, like, generally speaking, Mirran Crusader is a very, very good card in the current metagame, so, like, I don't regret putting it on top at all. But, like, the rest of my hand's kind of weak, and the upside of a card like Mirran Crusader is pretty high. Well, that's a terrible draw. I'm not going to trade both my mums for this endless one right now. I can do that in later turns if I really, really want to. But I'd much rather just, like, flicker wisp that thing away. Then I get, like, more value out of my cards. Basic Plains, my plan is to, like, hopefully not have to cast this prelate this game, because I draw better cards than it. Oh, wow. Here's how much I respect Dismember in this matchup. Man, if opponent bricks on a land again, I probably just get to, like, turn the corner and win this. I actually don't believe that I won with that hand. That hand was stone cold terrible against Eldrazi. But sometimes your opponent draws badly, and you get there on hands that you don't deserve it. Okay. So game one, opponent never finds third land. Alright. Shoot. Alright. I want to move these over one more row. There. Alright, so I want Path, I want Relic Warder, I want Gideon, I want CJ, and maybe Ballista. So that's 8 cards. So I don't want Mom. I don't really want Thalia. And I don't really want Prelate. So that's easy in out. Yes, we won with 1 mana, 1/1s. We did it. So Turbojet, the matchup's interactive. I think that's a better way to put it. Like, that game was not representative of how the matchups go. Oh god, my opponent has Multi 5. That's not where they want to be. If my opponent doesn't lead on Chalice on 1, and I get to just, like, resolve this Vial into just port them for the rest of the game, they will probably just lose. Oh, neat. Opponent does have a 61 card deck. Good eye. So, do I want to just waste them now to deny them the possibility of turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer? I think I do. Given how far behind on resources they are, this is probably a very good play for me, despite the fact that it's like negative tempo advantage that is not in my favor since my opponent's on board. But they're only on board with the 2-1. So the rest of my hand is very, very good. Opponent really needs, like, a Thought-Knot Seer this turn. Matter Shaper's not bad. Like, they get to push 2 more damage that way. No, I don't even think we're in this is bad territory yet, right? Like, I just get to, like, Stoneforge, get Batterskull on this turn. It's if they have one more follow-up creature that I'm scared. Like, if they go, like, land in the Thought-Knot Seer, that's when I probably just lose. Hey, hey, welcome, Palladion. There's actually some world here where I just, like, block with the Stoneforge to take out a Mimic before they get bigger. That's probably excessively greedy. Alright, so I can just die to a Thought-Knot, right? If my opponent Thought-Knots the... Oh, no, they don't have it. Okay, so I can just, like, Stoneforge, put in sword, equip sword, swing in for 6, opponent will chump block with Reshaper. Or I can just, like, attack with Batterskull, opponent will chump with Reshaper. Just gaining 6 here is pretty disgusting. No, I want to play around Wasteland over Voltage. Like, I do not want to get Wastelanded and, like, deny myself the opportunity to, like, sword equip. So this Jailer is going to take over the game once I put it in. But I don't think I just want to, like, hardcast it this turn on the Reshaper. But I actually don't know if... So another line is Council's Judgment away Reshaper. Wasteland Ancient Tomb. I actually kind of like this better than anything else. This will be punished by a Warping Whale from my opponent. But I think I accept that if it happens. This is disgusting. RTB 2010 probably has a family. Yes, opponent ignored the free block. The hope was gone. Yay! I did it. Oh yeah, opponent 100% gave up there. Alright, so game 2, win with Batterskull. Sweet. That's my second 5-0 in a row, which feels nice. Does that bring my win percentage up to 72? No, still at 71. Gotta win one more, then I can get it to 72. Alright. I forgot to GG him. How did opponent know it was a good game if I didn't GG him? Thank you, JD. Thank you for the bits. Yeah, Turbojet, don't worry. I'm going to play some more. But I'm going to go ahead and make myself some more tea real quick. So, like, today was the first day of school where I actually had students, so I did a lot of talking. So I'm just, like, plowing through tea. So I'm going to take just a minute to, like, boil some water. I will be right back. Oop, wrong stream. There we go. Alright everyone, I'm back. So, good evening, my name's Phil Gallagher, and I run Thraben University, a site exclusively for legacy, death, and taxes. We just finished the first league of the evening, and I got a 5-0, and so we're going into the second now. Most of the main deck is relatively stock, however in the sideboard of this we're trying out Walking Ballista as well as Chalice of the Void. Palladion, I missed you too. I'm back, don't worry. Staunton, as far as like a secondary legacy deck goes, just like find a deck that's in the style you enjoy and start working towards it. Because like if it's in the style that you enjoy, it's going to have the right sort of cards that you're going to want to acquire anyway. So even if that like exact deck isn't where you want to be, it'll like end up being like it'll end up getting you the kind of cards that you want. Oh man, if my opponent is playing a deck that wants to have lands that aren't basics, they're gonna have a bad time. Baruch, I've not actually done anything with Walking Ballista yet. Conceptually, I like it. I've seen other people playing it do really cool things. Like Malamujo, like, frickin' destroyed me in the Legacy Premier League with it. But it hasn't done anything for me personally. I don't think I've cast the card yet. Hey Shiv, welcome. Ben, the 24th land has felt good. I keep playing it off and on. I've flip-flopped between 23 and 24 since the bannings. I've been closer to wanting 23 than... Or sorry, I've been closer to wanting 24 than 23. So interestingly there, my opponent has to get the Tundra in order to Sword to Plowshare's Thalia, because that was a Scalding Tarn. So I'm going to get to Wasteland that land. God, please fetch another Tundra and let me double Wasteland you. Okay, now I'm going to add to that list. Please don't have Force of Will. Bentley, I miss you. You should come visit sometime. Alright, so folks, let's talk about miracles for a minute. I think a lot of players play Mentor like way too aggressively. I think that if you wait until the mid game to play Mentor, it's basically impossible for D&T to beat it, because like if you Mentor and make 2 or 3 tokens, those tokens you can just ride them to victory. But I think when you just like jam Mentor on turn 3, it's a gambit where like if you get to untap with Mentor, you just win. But you throw away a lot of value if you can't like back it up with a Force and they just have a Swords. So, since my opponent, like, is missing land drops, I'm going to put this on 1 to stop them from cantripping. If they, like, naturally rip a Terminus and, like, they get to get rid of this, like, so be it. But that was, like, a Ponder Shuffle and a missed land drop. So this is, like, pretty likely to just lock my opponent out of the game. I'm also not going to attack this just like into a Snapcaster Mage. I'm going to play around that. I guess happy to help, King. And since the only thing I'm possibly afraid of is Blind Terminus, I think I'm okay with just, like, running this out. Accumulated knowledge. You bet. You bet, buddy. So, actually, in case I draw Mother of Runes, I should probably just play out this Wasteland and equip with it. Because there's no other land that I would want to draw, that I would want to play more than that. So Doug's, what I meant by that is this turn. If I drew a port, like, I can't use it this turn, so it doesn't matter whether or not I play it. And I think the possibility of, like, playing a Mom is better than the possibility of, like, 2 of my next 3 draws being port. I think that's better. Alright. So D&T versus Miracles, we win. So game 1, win. Because opponent misses, land drops. Alright, well, let's start this way. So I want Chalice, Gideon, CJ, Needle, and probably Ballista. And so I want to take 8 out. So it's probably Swords to Plowshares, Jailer, and Moms. So what? All right. So, like, serious question: at what point do I consider Rest in Peace to muck with accumulated knowledge? Like, if I board Rest in Peace, it will stop like, it'll just make accumulated knowledge a 2-mana draw 1 as the game goes along, and it'll also stop Snapcaster Mage. I don't know if that's good. Kathagret, no, I don't like Jailer in this matchup because it's incredibly risky. Like, they just go, like, end of turn Snapcaster, take the Monarch, and then you die. So Jailer's really good against bad Miracle players. But, like, either you try to, like, go and defend the Monarch by leaving Swords to Plowshares in your deck, which I think is terrible, or you're just, like, holding creatures back, so, like, out of fear of Snapcaster Mage. I just think it's a terrible trade-off. I think Rest in Peace is actually close. Or maybe, like, Surgical. The Surgical's kind of, like, awkward since I'm playing Chalice. I don't think I want this third land. I'll draw another one at some point. Nah, Dogs, if they have, like, Priest, it's whatever. Like, Priest just gets swept up in their own terminus at some point. Man, Cyrus, I haven't played Moonstompy post-banning. Like, I've just been so high on D&T. I just don't, like, really have a reason to, like, play Moonstompy right now. Yeah, so, like, Cyrus, my win percentage right now is 71% with D&T. So, like, until those numbers start going down, I'm not switching decks. Like, it's just insane. Steve, I play a little bit of Maverick. Like, I've streamed with Miranda Keith's list a couple of times. See, like, the same thing's gonna happen again. Like, my opponent is gonna make, like, probably one token next turn, and I'm gonna Council's Judgment away their mentor, and they're gonna get, like, super, super punished for playing it out early. I'm gonna play Plains this turn, rather than Caracas to play around back to basics. Maybe that doesn't matter. No, it matters. If my opponent goes, like, back to basics, mentor trigger, I super want to, like, answer the Council's Judgment next turn no matter what. Top 3 in Legacy right now, in my opinion. That's tricky. Like, Death and Taxes is honestly probably the best deck in Legacy right now. I don't really think it's close. Beyond that, it's a little bit harder to say. Let me think about it for a minute. So, like, the Death Shadow deck is really good. Like, I have a very poor opinion of it because I'm playing D&T and I'm just, like, crapping all over that deck. But, like, the Death Shadow deck is a decent replacement for Grixis Delver. That deck's probably up there. I think it, like, does better things than, like, the current Grixis Shell and the current, like, Rug Delver deck. So I'd probably say, like, D&T, the Death Shadow deck, and then maybe, like, one of the random combo decks, or Grixis Control. Like, Grixis Control put up, like, super poor results at the Pro Tour, though. So I might say something like Sneak and Show might be the third. Monobolts, like, most Reanimator players are not putting up amazing results right now due to the amount of graveyard hate that is in the format. Yeah, see, like, and here we go. Like, I get to get rid of this mentor, and now my opponent has a couple of prowess tokens versus my Mirren Crusader, and they're probably going to, like, be forced to go on the defensive with these, and that's like if they had waited a few more turns and like they had pooped like 2 more tokens, I probably just get like overrun, whereas this is like very manageable. No, I don't think I want to attack first. Like if I attack first, all right, Jace is annoying. So Jace will bounce my Mirran Crusader. I'll get hit for 6. I revoke Jace. Opponent has some monks. Yeah, Mono Bolts. That's why I said most players. Like, EW Landon is crushing it. Like, he knows his shit. He knows what he's doing. He knows his matchups. He knows how to play to his outs. But I think the average Reanimator player is doing pretty poorly right now. Yeah, I mean, Cyrus, honestly, I think all of the Delver variants right now are just really bad against D&T. Like, I don't feel the Grixis list is polished enough to be good. I just don't think Rug has enough tools in its toolbox to beat the other Tier 1 decks, especially since it's so soft to D&T. And, like, D&T versus Death Shadow is a joke. Like, interesting. So the opponent could have just targeted either Swords to Plowshares or Disenchant with Revoker in order to get rid of it, and then brainstormed with Jace. So I wonder if that means, like, opponent had a removal spell on top of their deck that they knew about? No. No, they couldn't have. They must know something I don't. Like, he just, like, has to have a Swords to Plowshares in hand, right? And he's just, like, brainstorming first to, like, figure out what he needs to do. Lingmeister, check the sideboard of the deck. I have Chalice and Walking Ballista. Alright. This Chalice is a little late to the party. But not objectively bad. So, what is my opponent doing? Like, let's try to rationalize their plays. If they wanted to brainstorm that badly, maybe that means that the top card of their library is Terminus. So, if that's the case, what is my best line? If I just play a Crusader and pass, I get super, super wrecked. Like, how... I'm just trying to make sense of my opponent's play. Like, my opponent's play makes literal no sense to me. Like, if they have the swords, they just, like, fucking swords on their turn so they can start jacing. So they don't have the swords. And that would mean they also don't have a disenchant. So I think it's Terminus. I don't get what they're doing. Like, I'm trying not to just operate under the assumption that my opponent is just, like, an ape here. No, if they had Disenchant, they'd use it on their turn. Like, I think they're just gonna, like, Terminus and wipe the board. Nope, they're just the fucking ape. Alright. Like, what the fuck? How? Like, I don't get it. No, like, the opponent had Snapcaster Mage. He had access to both Swords to Plowshares and Disenchant. So, like, he very easily could have, like, nugged the Revoker, Jace brainstormed, and, like, wrecked me last turn. And Arkan, I hate it when you, like, lose the 5-0 on, like, game 3 of your last match. Like, those feel so bad. Alright. So, game 2, opponent plays poorly, but still wins. So, like, Gutshot the Bob, if I attack the Jace, my opponent blocks with Snapcaster, and I get to kill 2 tokens potentially, and they're left with 1 token and Jace to my empty board. So I don't think there's any merit to attacking the Jace. I just think that's bad. I don't really want to have Ballista in my opener. Like, Ballista is a card I want to draw on, like, turn 16. But the rest of the hand's solid. Alright, so opponent was just F6 there, so I know they don't have Force. That's good information to have. Yeah, like, 4-1's still great. Like 4-1 is still an 80% win rate. That's awesome. Like I'm never like sad when I go 4-1. Like that's still awesome. You end up way ahead in terms of like tickets and points and all that jazz. Okay, do I want to just go play equip this turn and get aggressive? If I do so, my opponent takes 6, goes to 12, but my Thalia might get like Terminus or Swords to Plowshared, and that'd be a little bit annoying. I know my opponent doesn't have Swords to Plowshares in hand, so it'd have to be Terminus. Like, if my opponent had Swords to Plowshares, they'd probably just, like, pick off the Thalia while the Caracas is tapped. So I think I just extract my value here. Like, I just want to get this card in play and take my chip shot here. Like, if my opponent gets my Thalia with a Terminus, it's a little annoying because it's, like, a protectable threat otherwise. But, like, my follow-up play of, like, Crusader with Sword of Fire and Ice is just lethal. Like, Crusader plus a sword hit is 12, so I'm setting myself up for that. So my opponent, like, potentially could have drawn Swords to Plowshares off the Ponder. They didn't have Terminus. Nope, just another Ponder. Arkin, you only have 2 trophies? Wow, that's so surprising. Jeez. Bad beats. Okay, so how do I want to play this turn? I probably want to port my opponent. That leaves me with 2 extra mana. So I could, like, port my opponent and play Stoneforge. Alternatively, I could not port my opponent and just, like, play Stoneforge, put in a Batterskull. But I think I just want to, like, attack, and see what happens. Like, the reason why I'm so surprised is, like, Arkin streams a lot and has been doing, like, pretty well, like, in the time that I've got to watch. Do I want to play another card? I think I'm okay with playing a Stoneforge. It cantrips. Like, I can port them off of this plains, play Stoneforge, like, fetch up Batterskull or Jitte, and, like, not lose anything. Yeah, this cantrips. This is fine. And I'll get Batterskull since it's a standalone threat. Oh man, and my opponent fetched, so Terminus isn't on top of their library? Good luck. Alright, and opponent's just done. Win. Why do we win that one? Alright, so let's say game 3 win. The Thalia probably put a lot of pressure on them in terms of their mana usage. I'm going to attribute that to Thalia. Let's say Thalia and SoFi. Oh man, I'm back up here. I fell off for a long time. Like, I was towards the top of the board at the beginning. Like, I think I got like 3 trophies within the first, like, maybe like 2 or 3 days that the season started. And I was up towards the top of the board for a while, and then I just fell off. Like, I just hit like a whole bunch of 4-1s, and I went like 2 weeks without getting a trophy. And now I have 2 5-0s in a row, so whatever. Yeah, Doug's like they had nothing. Like I don't know for what reason they kept that hand. It seemed poor. Yeah, so Arkin, to clarify my claim from earlier, I think D&T is easily the best deck in the format if you know what you're doing with it, but it is a big if, because like the difference between a knowledgeable D&T player and an average D&T player might be like 15% win percentage or something like that. Like it's a very absurd difference, like how much your knowledge matters. This hand's like this hand's very close to a mulligan. Like, if I ignore second Caracas and just treat that as a dead card, I would be happy with this 6, but I don't know that I'm happy with it as a 7. I'm going to go ahead and keep it because, like, it's kind of flexible, but I'm not overly pleased with this hand. Oh, good God. Opponent has multi 5. Sorry. Correct that. Opponent has multi 4. Opponent's probably Black-Red Reanimator, and so I'm probably just going to, like, bounce a Grizzlebrand and kill them. Oh, this is dirty. This is dirty. Well, I'm going to leave what deck they're playing blank for a minute, but I bet it's Black-Red Reanimator. Alright, so game 1, opponent plays Petal after Mole to 4, and concedes to Revoker. Oh god, yeah, like, total bully mode tonight. Alright, so I'm going to sideboard for Black-Red Reanimator, and if I'm wrong, I won't be, like, that wrong. Am I just boarding in, like, 12 cards? Alright, what am I? This Pithing Needle probably isn't good enough. Like, it can stop Grizzlebrand, but like, if they produce a Grizzlebrand, it's still like scary. So I don't really know about that. I probably need to like keep some amount of sorry, like if I board too many non-creature spells, I'm not going to have enough things left in the deck to close out the game. So, like this is what I'm talking about, and it's why I'm not bringing in the needle. If we look at my creature count here, I'm all the way down to 20. That's rough. Like that's not really where I want to be. Like I'm boarding out things that aren't particularly powerful. Like the Stone Forges are really, really slow in this matchup, and like Mom's medium normally, but considerably worse if I'm going to play my Chalices. No, I have one Brightwing Link. Hmm. So I may need to like reconsider my board plan for this matchup and like whether or not the Chalices are actually good. Uh, because I have like a shit ton of 1-drops when one of my primary plans is like put a Chalice on one. All right, so opponent mold to 6. I'm probably just like snap wastelanding my opponent's Badlands here. Oh man, that was a rough Faithless Looting. That did not bin a creature. Goodbye, land. Oh man, opponent doesn't have another land. Wait, hold on. Hold on. My opponent didn't have a second land, and they binned their Polluted Delta against a Wasteland deck? That's just like straight up gotta be a mistake. That's on them. That is 100% on them. Alright, unmask, target me. That's fine. You get my surgical here. No, they missed a land drop. The secret to winning is being better than your opponents. Remember that, chat. Remember that. So game to win via Thalia and Port. I mean, I have no idea who Alex Jones is, so I have no thoughts. I mean, I might know who this person is, but just not by name. I'm like exceptionally bad with names, so I forget people a lot. I don't forget faces, but if someone's like, "Hey, do you know who blah 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 is?" No. They're the really popular actor. You just watched 3 of their movies. Oh. Yeah, I had no idea. Merfolk. Well, I started with the vial and you didn't, so I feel good about my start. Friend, your vial is going to be a little bit behind my vial. What am I doing with my life? So I don't really want to put this Thalia into play because it's going to make my Swords to Plowshares cost more mana, and I kind of just like want to fire those off ASAP. So it's not super mana efficient, but I should probably just like pass the turn. Like if I play this Thalia, then like the possibility of me like next turn like putting in an equipment with Stoneforge and playing a plow disappears. I'm gonna give a little love tap with the mom. I'm not really gonna like respect dismember. My opponent's so far behind on mana that they probably need to tap out for some threat this turn, so I don't think I need to protect the Stoneforge. I'd rather the Stoneforge be a surprise. I also don't necessarily want to cast the Jitte, because some Merfolk decks are still playing Daze. Opponents just hanging out. Maybe painting their nails or something. Letting the clock tick down. You always feel like you're the good guy when you beat Dredge. Ark, and I agree. Like, this current list isn't playing it, but like, I was playing Remorseful Cleric for a while in D&T, and I still think that card's pretty good. And just like being able to win like every game one versus Dredge just felt amazing. Like, you usually lost game ones to Dredge due to their inevitability, and being able to just like tutor up that guy and just say like, nope, I get game one. It felt so good. I'm not playing it in this deck list because this deck list is specifically designed to be stronger against Dread of Night than other versions of the deck. But generally speaking, I really love the Cleric. I've been super pleased with that card. It helps me steal a lot of game ones versus like Loam and Dredge. And I guess like we can talk some data since my opponent's hanging out. Where is it? So, undefeated versus Manaless Dredge. Where's regular Dredge? And 4-0 versus regular Dredge. Alright, you've got a true name. That's fine. Slivers is really hard to beat as D&T. Daniel Nunes has just, like, crushed the shit out of me every time I've played him recently. It's been rough. I think I'm like 0-2 or 0-3 against him in recent memory. No, Steve, you just let elves go. Like, you just lose to that deck. That's fine. There are other decks we can beat. So just like on the note of Loam, since we're talking about it, I do think Loam is a very well-positioned deck right now. I feel like it just has like a lot of game versus the fair decks that are running around. You might be something like 550 versus Daniel Nunes. I believe that, yeah. He knows his stuff. Honestly, I would love to do like a stream with him sometime. Like, and just like have him come on and like talk me through some Sliver stuff because like I'm sure it would be like super useful. I don't know if he's like does anything of that nature. Like I don't know him personally, but I think that'd be cool. $16-2. That's a pretty hot run. Do you know where Daniel Nunes is from? I just have no idea. Like I only have experience with him through Moto. Oh, okay. Well, where's your hometown? Okay, Brazil. Don't necessarily like bring it up right now or anything, because I'm probably pretty swamped until uh like the Legacy Premier League is over, but that's the sort of thing that I would love to do sometime down the line. All right. So I have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is lethal in 2 turns. Brazil is one big town. You heard it first here. Get your geography lesson. Chalice on 1. Sure. Actually, is there any world where I want to like plow my Stoneforge Mystic right here? And just gain a life? Like, is there any world where I die? I don't think there is, right? Like, I just need to like Recruiter for Flicker Wisp so that I can flicker out Mutavault and they can't block it with Crusader, or just like alternatively port it. Can my opponent do 16 to me this turn, or even 15? They can't double Lord in any capacity. So no, I don't think I need to. Oh! Oh, so there is a I see. I see what you're getting at now. So I'll let my opponent pay to animate this, and then I'll tap it. And this like plays around some like Kira type effect. Oh, Dadzap, thank you very much for resubbing. This is your 4th month, and I really appreciate the support. Your support will help me teach the Merfolk players that Merfolk is bad and unplayable in every format. Alright, so we win. So game 1, win with Vile start, and more specifically, Crusader plus Sophie. Alright, I'm going to bring in like a pile of cards that I'll consider, and I'm not going to play all of these. This is the pile of stuff that I'd consider. Man, I hate the fish people. I'm not going to lie to you. I greatly dislike Merfolk. So I don't want Jailer against the True Name deck, even though, like, theoretically having more removal is good against, like, many of their threats. Like, it's just going to be, like, way too easy to lose the Monarch status in this. And the Needle actually might not be good enough since they're a Vial deck, but they're also a Chalice deck. I know those Chalices are probably coming out for the post-sideboard games, but if this is only for Vial, and I'm also going to bring in, like, Relic Order, and I already have these Revokers, this is probably just better. Look like fish, taste like people. Yeah, like, I know they should take out the Chalice, but sometimes, like, the Merfolk players don't have a lot of sideboard cards, and they're, like, forced to keep some crappy cards in. So, like, it's not unprecedented to see Chalice in for post-sideboard games. So, Doug's, like, the reason is because, like, 2 power worth of first strike means nothing in this matchup, right? Because they're a Lord-based deck, most of the time you're not actually going to, like, do anything with your Thalias. Until you get equipment, at which point, like, most of your creatures are fine. Like, I'd rather have everything else that's in the deck over Thalia. I don't know whether or not the Ballista is good enough, but, like, should we get to, like, the real late game for some reason, it's probably sweet. YOLO Vial start. I can tap my Vial to put in a Ballista. Merfolk Trickster, is that the shuffle one? Alright. Flash, when it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls it loses all abilities until the end of turn. Well, that card's kind of scary. I don't know exactly what that does, but I don't like it. Alright, so they have a Lord of Atlantis. And I have no lands. YOLO Vial start, not working well. Alright, now they have a Vial. Would love to draw a land. Instead, we'll just play another mob. And I'm not willing to block here. Like, active Mom is so much better than just, like, trading for a Silver Gill. Alright, this Vial is stellar. Datzap, have you seen my primer on ThrabenU? They still have a Lord of Atlantis. Surprise. Alright, unless you have another Dismember, this attack doesn't really make much sense. Like, I guess it's free, but it doesn't accomplish anything. So if I just, like, Relic Order their Vial, I can potentially, like, slow them down tempo-wise, but that probably doesn't do a ton for me. Like, alternatively, I can revoke the Vial as well. Is that better than just, like, Swords to Plowshares a Lord right now before any shenanigans can happen? Like, I can't really, like, afford to revoke Vial because, like, it'll get mine too. So I can Relic Order this. But then they still just have a lot of power. Hmm. Alternatively, like, I could just, like, try to get Batterskull and stabilize that way. There's a huge upside in me waiting to use the Swords to Plowshares if, like, the card on top of my deck is a land. Like, then next turn I could do something like put in Batterskull and Swords to Plowshares, Lord of Atlantis. Hmm. I'm in an awkward spot. If I just get rid of this, my opponent can't really attack with these unless they have another Lord. If I play the Stoneforge and my opponent just, like, vials in another Lord, I take, like, way too much damage. So I should probably stem the bleeding, even though this is not mana efficient. And my opponent was just F6 that entire time. Oh no, Jarvis and his friends have come to raid. Defend me with Thalia emotes. Or something. So I'm going to want to vial in my Stoneforge. I'll, like, fetch up Sword of Fire and Ice and then play a Batterskull as well. So the question is, like, what do I do with the remainder of my mana? I can play a Walking Ballista to get rid of a Silvergill Adept right now, and that's probably pretty safe. Although, like, this doesn't really do anything. So I'm probably just better, like, getting rid of their Vial. Unfortunately, I think I'm just going to be dead to that. So I can't gain life next turn with the Batterskull. I don't know that I have any outs. I guess I could, like, Swords to Plowshare as one of my own guys. So, like, if I draw Swords to Plowshares, what do I want to do? I probably want to leave this at 2 so I can put in a Revoker and Swords to Plowshare it, because it's kind of like the worst card on the current board. Datzaf, I probably have that somewhere on the website. But generally speaking, sort of War and Peace is just better than Light and Shadow, and it's not close. Alright. So my line to win involves my opponent attacking with more than just True Name Nemesis. Yes, I teach Latin in Roanoke, Virginia. Alright, so I'm just dead to that. Alright, so we lost that one. Alright, so game 2 lost to double True Name. So we were one turn away from stabilizing that one. So I'm just like taking a quick look to see if I want to change anything when I'm on the play. I don't think that I do. This hand's not great, but I think I have to keep it since it has double swords. Like, it's really good against the Lord-based openers. But if my opponent just, like, leads on a Bile, this is super bad for me. Alright, so opponent has one Lord in hand. And I have a Jitte that's about to be active. That's pretty sweet. %100% fine with taking 2 here. If I just, like, hold up a bunch of Jitte counters, this game's going to be really hard for my opponent to win. Alright, what does passing with 4 mana up mean? My opponent could have, like, the weird Merfolk that lets you return a tapped creature to its opponent's hand. It'd be kind of annoying if that was the case. Otherwise, my opponent could, like, animate a Mutavault. Like, I could just, like, Flicker Wisp a land to play around that. Opponent also could just, like, have Dismember. Well, Merfolk Trickster doesn't actually matter, right? Like, that's just a flash creature. And, like, Jitte just beats that. Doesn't matter, they're banned. Alright, so you can tap that down, that's fine. And now I'll just play a double strikey boy. Alright, what are you copying? Whatever it is, it's dying to one Jitte counter. Do I just, like, want to start pinging up stuff? It's probably fine to do so. So, like, I'm going to 2-turn my opponent with the Jitte more or less no matter what. So I don't really think I need to be too conservative with the counters. No, I want to move the Jitte to Mirran Crusader for reasons that should, like, become very apparent in a second. So, like, I'm going to attack the Crusader. My opponent's going to, like, try to, like, block with Mutavault, I think. Echoing Truth to Jitte. That's fine as well. So what I was gonna say, like, if my opponent animates the Mutavault, then I have mana, like, to go and Swords to Plowshares this thing and get through for 4 hits. Like, I can still do the same thing, like, with the Flicker Wisp line as well. No, I'm not going to be at the Baltimore Open. I'm going to take a second to do some resizing, chat. Hold on. Sorry, I forgot about that. It was something I meant to do before. It's a Mutavault. Opponent should have tapped that to animate the other Mutavault. Alright. So game 3 win with Jete and Crusader. Five-0 back-to-back stream. I have gotten like back-to-back 5-0s in a row currently. Oh man, I'm up to 72% win percentage. Go, go, go. Why can't I stop winning? Why am I doing all of this winning? Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it here for the night. I need to submit my Legacy Premier League deck list tonight, and I haven't really decided what I'm playing for the second round. So I need to go ahead and do that before I go to bed here. So if you enjoyed this content tonight, please consider following. I play a lot of Legacy on my channel, primarily Death and Taxes, but I do a little bit of everything. My next stream will be on Thursday night at about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time again. And you can also potentially see me doing commentary on Wednesday night on the Legacy Premier League on It's Julian's channel. So I hope you all enjoyed tonight. I'm still unsure about some of the cards that I'm testing. Ballista and Chalice are both slightly awkward. I'm still gathering data. I'll let you know when I have real thoughts. Thank you all for joining me, and if you're really enjoying what I'm doing, please consider subscribing or doing a donation deck list so that I can play something else cool on stream. I will see you all Thursday when I'll be playing with Orcish Lumberjack. It's going to be a neat variant of 4-color loam featuring Natural Order. Enjoy, and good evening.